I don't think this lighting looks half bad. I mean, is it great? No. But also the sun is not shining today. It is not parting through, and it hasn't all week. So we have to deal with fake lighting, which actually I'm kind of impressed with. So let's roll with it. I had a comment from Amanda on my book haul video that I did, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or so, and she asked me for some Kindle Unlimited faves of mine. So I figured, why not? Literally, if you guys comment down below certain things that you want to see, I'm more than happy to do them. If it's something in my wheelhouse, which is pretty much like romance and fantasy for the most part, romance more predominantly. So please just let me know. I know someone else wants another student-teacher romance recommendations. You already know I got that coming soon too. But I am gonna try to keep with a once a week upload schedule. So we're gonna see if I stick to that. I'm gonna talk about my favorite Kindle Unlimited reads. All of these are gonna be romance in this. I haven't read a single fantasy off of Kindle Unlimited. I pretty much have it for romance specifically. I read the majority of my books off of Kindle Unlimited. I do have a library card, so I do read quite a few of like traditionally published books through my library, but everything else I read through Kindle Unlimited, and that's how I typically buy my paperbacks. I read them first on there, and then if I love them, I buy them. If not, then cool, I just return it and I'm done. I tried to do a mix in here of like standalones, series, because I know some people prefer one or the other. I try to do a mix of tropes. Let's go ahead and jump in to some of my favorites. Oh my God, I just realized it looks like I'm reading the Bible back there. It's not the Bible, that is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace that I'm reading for my book club. And oh, I have to keep it there because I can read like 2 pages and then I go to bed because it's just exhausting. Okay, the first book up on my list, I just absolutely love. I read this one a couple of months ago, and that is Longshot by Kennedy Ryan. This one is like a standalone and a companion series. So this is the first book. There are, I believe, 2 other books after it, but they follow different couples. So you can definitely read this one and like have this story wrapped up, and you don't have to continue, but you can if you want. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, but it is on my list because I just enjoyed this one so much. Longshot is a sports romance. It's set in the world of the NBA, which is super cool. I hadn't read a basketball romance before. This one follows August and Iris. So August is a professional basketball player, and one night at a bar, he meets Iris and they're watching a game, and they just start kind of like shooting the shit, getting to know each other a bit. And by the end of the night, they're like really vibing. But then Iris reveals that she has a boyfriend. So sadly, they part their own ways, but they don't really get out of each other's head. And then I believe it's like either the next night or the following night, there's a championship game and they run into each other. Turns out Iris is dating August's rival, like rival from childhood to adulthood. I don't even remember what his name is, but I do not care to even look it up because that's how little I care about that man. That man is scum. I went into this book kind of blind, and I think that's how you should too. So I'm not really going to reveal any more details because there are some things that happen that I definitely did not see coming whatsoever. So I want to kind of leave it at that. I will just say August is literally one of the most perfect heroes I've ever read before. If he was a real life person, I would have not a chance in hell, but I would definitely at least try because I would even love to get rejected by August. Look up triggers for this book before going into it. There is domestic violence depicted and sexual assault, so I will just warn you against that. That is a major theme in this book. So this book isn't like a lighthearted, like fluffy romance. I do have some of those on this list. This is not it. It's very heartfelt, it's very impactful, but it is just done so well. And the side characters in this too just make this world so rich. They're side characters that are not flat. They're very like 3-dimensional side characters, which I really appreciate. And oh, I just really loved this book. Okay, now we're gonna go complete opposite end, and we're gonna go into something that I don't typically like, but for some reason this one just worked for me, and that is Wrong by Janet Aston. Again, this is the first book in a series, but it's a standalone within the series, so the other books follow other couples, so you don't have to read the other books in order to have this story like wrapped up. So this one follows Sophie and Luke. Sophie is a college student who's working at her like local coffee shop, and she always flirts with this one customer who comes into the coffee shop, but they've never like really done more than that, than just aimless flirting. So then Sophie decides, she's like, I want to lose my virginity, and she's like, I better go to the doctor just to make sure that I'm like good beforehand, like I'm good to go. So she goes to the campus clinic, and there's a doctor there who generously donates his time. A couple times a week, he's like a surgeon or something at the hospital, but he just donates his time. Luke. So Luke walks into the room. Sophie's just funny, she's awkward, but she doesn't bother me. She's not airheaded in any ways. She just does certain things and says certain things where I'm like, ooh, cringing, but it's not cringing in a bad way. It's in like the best way. And Sophie and Luke, obviously, their relationship kind of goes from there a little bit. It's just fun. It's such a great book. There was a little surprise in it that I really enjoyed. I liked that little like twist, if you will. I don't really know what else to say about this except that it's just kind of like a rom-com in a book, and it's just very like lighthearted and fun-loving, which is just sometimes what you need. I love the angst, I love the dark, I love the brooding, but every once in a while I just am in the mood to have a little fun, and this one is definitely such a great pick for that. Let's just, I don't think it's a natural transition, but we're gonna kind of do that. So we went from kind of like Doctor Patient, not really, to like Doctor Patient, and this is Medicine Man by Saffron Kent. Chef's kiss, I love this book. So this one follows Simon and Willow. Willow is a patient at a psychiatric hospital and Simon is her psychiatrist. I know it's taboo, so if it pushes your limits too much, I get it. I have some other ones that are less taboo, but if you like to push the limits a little bit like I do when I'm reading, buckle up. So this one is a standalone too. In this book, we're in Willow's mind, which again, like Saffron Kent's female protagonists, they're a little unreliable in like the best way, at least from all of the ones that I've read so far. Like I'm thinking about the Unrequited too, and it's like Layla's not necessarily the most reliable person to be telling the story through, and it's kind of the same with Willow, but for a little bit of different reasons. So as we're progressing the book, we're learning more about how Willow got to be in the psychiatric hospital and what led up to that, and kind of her different issues that she has to work through, because at the beginning she's not really like willing to work through them, but by the end, between her and Simon, she does really start to get that out. So that's a good progression to go on with her. And this one definitely does have like that slow burner aspect. So like it's slow burn in the way that you're not going to get so frustrated. It just feels very natural, and I personally really liked Willow a lot, and I really liked Simon, and their relationship just worked for me. And especially in like a taboo sense like this, I need to understand why the characters want to be together, and you definitely do in this, or at least I felt so. Let's just get a big ass series. Do you want a lot of reading material for a very long amount of time? Then the Bound by Blood Chronicles and the Kimora Chronicles by Cora Riley. I've actually been thinking about doing an entire video breaking these two series down, and like her standalones too that are incorporated in this world, and doing like a reading order type thing, kind of just doing like an overview. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but I'm just like so obsessed with this series that I kind of want to do it just for me to enjoy myself. I don't know, I'm stupid. The Bound by Blood Chronicles consist of 7 books following 5 different couples, and then there is an anthology. So 2 of the couples get a repeat book later on, and then the Kimora Chronicles consist of 5 books, and those each follow a different couple. So the Bound by Blood ones take place in the Mafia in New York. There is one that like partially takes place in Vegas a bit. It kind of sets up the other series, but all of these take place between the New York and the Chicago Mafia mob. And then the Kimora Chronicles all take place out in Las Vegas. So these are very interconnected worlds. The characters overlap quite a bit. So if you're reading one, I definitely suggest reading the other, especially because you have to start with Bound by Blood series, which I love and I thought was going to be my fave. And then I read the Kimora Chronicles and I was like, hold up, these are even better. Like the Kimora Chronicles, I swear you have to read the Bound by Blood series just to get to the Kimora Chronicles. I truly do love each and every book. Obviously I have couples that I prefer more than the other, but genuinely the plot in these is great, the romance is great, the world is so cool. I have to be in the mood to read Mafia, but when I'm in the mood, I'm like in the mood for Mafia. And these just always, they're just like chef's kiss, they're so good. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the Bound by Blood Chronicles also has an anthology, and Luca from the first book has his own POV book. So technically it's like 9 books. So you could have a lot of hefty reading here and be entertained for a while. And I swear, like once you start, you don't want to stop. They are just that good. Okay, next I have another series, and I have a series and a standalone by the same author because she is just my queen and I can't go without recommending her books, and a lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. However, I know a lot of other YouTubers share these books and like this author, so these might not be new to you. However, I've noticed in certain videos that I've watched, the people are like, oh, well, everyone already knows like this and this and this, so like I'm not going to talk about those. But for me, I didn't know any of these books until just like a couple of years ago when I started getting into reading romance. So then I was like, wait, I need to know the classics. I need to know what everyone's already read here. Like I want to know the best of the best, and I think these are the best of the best. So if you've already read these, I hope you loved them as much as I did. But if you're new to romance or you're new to Kindle Unlimited and just trying to kind of like get a baseline, I know these are popular, but they're incredible, so I'm going to talk about them anyways. So the next series I'm going to recommend is the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. Penelope Douglas is just my favorite. She just announced her new book that's going to be coming out soon, Try Six Venom, and I am so excited for it. Devil's Night series is 4 books, 2 novellas, and it's a dark romance series. There definitely are some darker themes in here, but as much as these are romance, they're also kind of like suspense and a little mystery-ish, kind of. So if that's something that you're interested in, like these have, I feel like, equal enough like, plot and cool world stuff as well as romance and steam. Like it's not just pure smut, which I appreciate because, you know, I want some plot thrown in there. So these are just great. They follow a different couple. Each book is a companion book. The second and third books are my favorite, but I do love them all. They follow 4 horsemen who every single night on Devil's Night, they just cause some shit around town. They just kind of do whatever they want. And one year there's an accident and 3 of them get arrested. So then the first book, Corrupt, takes place when the 3 of them are out and they are seeking revenge on the girl who put them into prison, Rika. So, and you get Rika and Michael in the first book, and that's where it all kind of takes place. And every single book is told in dual POVs, which I really appreciate. I love a dual POV. And also it's told in dual timelines. So every single book is jumping back and forth between the Devil's Night year that the 3 of them went to prison and then like present day. So it's cool to have both storylines playing out at the same time, and it kind of keeps you guessing a little bit. I don't even know what else to say about it, but if you've been thinking about picking it up, I 10 out of 10 recommend. Also, there's some threesomes. Next is my favorite standalone by this author, which is going to be Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. She has a lot of her works, the Devil's Night series also, and then her other 2 standalones that she's published, Punk 57 and Credence, are also on Kindle Unlimited. I love both those. I could talk about both those in another video. But I'm going to choose Birthday Girl for this one just because I love Birthday Girl. It was the first book that I ever read by Penelope Douglas, and it is what got my obsession started. So this one is an age gap standalone, and this one follows Jordan and Pike, and Jordan is like 19 and she's dating this guy and they need a new place to live. Her boyfriend's just a piece of shit and like they're kind of running low on money. So they decide to move in with her boyfriend's dad, Pike. Again, I don't remember the boyfriend's name, but he's irrelevant because Pike is the only man we know in this story. This is a slow burn, So if that's not your thing, you've been warned, because this one is a slow burn, which I personally love. And especially with this, it just made you want it so much more, and it just made it feel very natural that by the time they finally got together, I was like cheering. I was like, thank God. I could not put this book down because I was like, I just need them to like look at each other. It's incredible. And I love both of these characters. Jordan is like a very determined 19-year-old, like way more than I was at 19 and way more than I am at 24. So I really give Jordan props. I know this is like a classic. A lot of people love this one, but I think a lot of people love it for a good reason. Like it's great. Okay, the next one is a standalone I'm going to talk about, and that is a new adult college sports romance. I just read this last month and I fell in love with it, and that is Dare You to Hate Me by B. Celeste. This one follows Aiden and Ivy, who are childhood friends who lose touch because Ivy runs away when she's about like is she like 16 at the time when she runs away? And then they meet again when they're both in college, and Aiden is getting ready to graduate and enter into the NFL draft, and Ivy shows up at the school and she is starting her freshman year even though she's like 22, because she has been through a lot of shit in the time that her and Aiden last saw each other. This book is a little heavier for being a college book. You know, when I think of college, I think of something like a little more light and fun, like fun times. This is a little heavier, but however, it doesn't just dwell in sadness. I would look up triggers before you read this as well. It does deal with mental health, suicide, and self-harm, and nothing is graphically depicted. However, those are prominent themes in here, and that is something that Ivy has struggled with. So just a warning on that. Like I said, Ivy doesn't dwell in it, but it is a part of her and a part of her story. So just know that going into it that you're going to have that in there. And also, if this is something that you like, Aiden, we do have a virgin hero in this. Aiden is a virgin. I'm a fan of sports romance, but if you are not necessarily, I think you should still give this one a shot because it is not super like sports heavy. Yes, it's incorporated because Aiden is a football player, but it's not as much as I'm thinking like the off-campus series or Longshot, you know, like those are a little more sports heavy, where this is a little lighter on that. So if that's something that you're not as much interested in, but you're maybe like wanting to dabble in a bit, I think this is a great one to start with because it's not super football heavy, because I don't really care about football. I couldn't care less. Do I ever watch football on TV? No. Do I also ever watch hockey on TV? No, but reading about hockey for some reason, give it to me. And really, if you've read anything by Celeste, you just know like the heart that is incorporated into these books, which is one of my favorite things about her and why she's one of my favorite writers. So you just know that when you're getting this, it's gonna like feel good in your heart. And it's emotional without being like draining in any way. And lastly, because I can't go this whole video without including one of my favorite books of all time. It is on Kindle Unlimited. I've already talked about it in like 3 different videos, but again, if this is the first video that you're watching of me, then I want to make sure that I plug this one once again, and that is Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. Oh, this book is just everything and more to me. It is a student-teacher romance, which is one of my absolute favorite genres. Again, if it's like too taboo for you, I had others that aren't this, but if you don't mind a student-teacher romance or you're really into a student-teacher romance, check this one out. This one follows Danny, who's a high school student, but she is 18. She's a senior in high school, but she had to repeat a year because at her last school, there was a shooting where she was shot and injured, and her mother, who was a staff member, was shot and killed. So now, after she's rehabbed, she's taken the year off, she's moved in with her brother, and as she starts at this new school, every single day, instead of one of her classes, she has a class period time just to go and talk with the school counselor, Lachlan. And I think you can imagine where things go from there. This is a slow burner too, baby. Ooh, it is a slow burner, and I live for it. It's a chunky book too. It is a thick boy, but every single line is like not wasted. It just builds on the emotional tension and the healing of Danny, and it's such a beautiful story. It is so well done. I will say some people do find this book slower. I've seen other people talk about it where they're like, it's just too slow for me. I will say this is a very character driven book. There are not going to be crazy plot twists. There are not going to be a lot of things like coming out of the woodwork to surprise you throughout it. It really is just 2 characters' emotional journeys together and their character growth, and just really focused on that, which personally I just love. I mean, obviously it's not like no plot, there is plot in it, but you're not going to have like a lot of like crazy things happen. I can't really say enough good things about this book. I just think it's incredible. And I love every single page of it, and it is one of my absolute favorites, so I just had to plug it because I know that it is on Kindle Unlimited. And if you haven't checked it out yet and it's something that you're interested in, do it. Alrighty, that's it. Those are all of my favorite Kindle Unlimited favorites for right now. I have tons more, so if you guys end up liking this video and you want to see another, I'm more than happy to do it. But at least for now, hopefully you found at least 1 or 2 things that you thought are interesting or something new, something good to read. As I said, if there's any specific trope recommendation videos you want to see, like pretty much anything that you want to see, just let me know. I do have some more reading vlogs coming soon. I'm doing another Banned, Forbidden, Taboo reading vlog. If you have any suggestions, you can leave those recommendations down below for me as well, because I already did one of these back in like November, I want to say, and I had a fun time doing it, and I'm trying to do that again. So I've already read a couple for that, but I'm still trying to like narrow down what I want my last few to be. But if anyone has any recommendations, go ahead and drop them below, and maybe I'll include those. I don't know what's going to be up next because this is just something that I do for fun. I don't really plan anything out, so I don't know what'll be up next, but I will see you when I see you.